plastics because you get questions whenever this waste thing comes in your exams. So they mostly ask you about the plastics and their management. Okay. So now I have a question. Now, if the question comes like this, like that we are dependent on plastics and they have become an integral part of our life. So, but at the same, they are one of the major polluters and contributors as far the waste, solid waste is concerned. And because they are non-biodegradable degradable in nature, that is another level of problem. So, how you are going to attempt this question means if this question comes and they ask you to write in about some 450 words, okay, what will be your approach while attempting this question? I hope you understood my question. Okay, those who have came now, I'll repeat my question. If in exams the question comes like this or parallel to this, for example, plastic is a is a has penetrated deep into our lives. We have become quite dependent on them, but at the same time, plastics, because they are non-biodegradable in nature, so they are a problem for the nature also. Write a short note on around 450 words. So, what will be your approach while attempting this question? What I mean, how you will begin with answering such questions? Yes. Yeah, Sakshi, go on.
Ma'am, we can start like from a toothbrush to a huge item. We totally depends on the plastics.
Yeah.
Everyone everywhere we can see the plastics. The food item wrappers and all there is plastic. So
Okay.
we cannot suppose a life without plastic. So everyone
Mhm.
because everywhere it is present, but
Right.
we need to take some steps.
Okay.
As
Very
we
good.
know, it is non biodegradable,
Right.
so we need to take some steps so that uh, we can we can use less amount of plastic, and this can be done by using 3 R's: by recycle,
Right.
reuse.
Right. Very good. Very good. Very good. Do you want to say more, Sakshi?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. No, it was very good. Okay, wonderful. At least you have an idea of means about how you have to begin. Because mostly what happens in these type of questions, as soon as the plastic flashes or some term flashes with which we are having a strong negative image, we will right away start writing the disadvantages of it. Okay, but the question has asked to write a note on how the plastics have went deep into our lives, how our dependencies we have become so dependent on the plastics. Okay, so there we have to um, write and attempt those questions in a way we have to tell them, or in a way we have to write that in what possible ways, or what are the different places, what are different ways by which we are using plastics, and that is why we have become dependent on the plastics. And then we have to come on to the approaches and viable the solutions, means what could be the possible outcome, or what can be the possible ways by which we can reduce this percent contribution of plastics in the waste. Okay, so we have already, while we were discussing about the solid waste and our the waste, we found that paper and pulp forms the major contribution, followed by your food waste, and the third was your plastic waste, that was around some 13 or 14% of the total waste that was being dumped, right? So it implies that plastic is a huge amount of contribution. Okay. And then you have to show it by means of some data, very small data. You needn't learn huge figures. Okay. And the conditions in a country, if you can give a bit amount of information on what are different types of plastics and which types of plastics are very hazardous, or they can be very harmful, or they're very difficult to be managed. Okay, because one thing is very clear: simply saying reject use of plastic is not easy. This statement is easy, it's a simple to speak, but it is not at all practical because it has formed part and parcel of our life in almost every form. So we have to see all the approaches. For example, we are buying, we want to clean our hairs and we are going to the shops to have the shampoos. Now those shampoo, that liquid shampoo, we cannot bring it in a carry bag or in a cloth bag. In any case, we have to buy that plastic bottle, right? So that couldn't be kept aside. Okay. Okay, Pallavi, don't worry, no worry. Okay, keep on trying to connect yourself. ठीक है? जितना आप सुन सकते हो, it's good. Hmm. So that is where so this approach has to be from both the side. We as a consumer, we have to be very smart and vigilant before we are bringing any product that is composed of plastic. And the manufacturing industry also, they have to be very vigilant and they have to look into things. Okay, where all they can make the possible replacement. Second, there are places where you cannot replace plastics. They are there. So what could be done is they could be made to enter into the circular economy so that these plastics can again be used by those manufacturers in refilling their product. Okay, so then the possible solutions could be brought out. Okay, so it cannot be done by simply saying and by us, okay, we are stop using plastics, because whenever plastics comes, the thing that comes in our head is plastic bags, but it's not so. Plastic bags are one major contributor in those plastics, but there is everything, everywhere there's plastic, every form of packaging, right from the soap wrappers, right from your chips packet, right from what to say, your straw pipes, okay, and the thin polythene cover that is covering that straw pipe, everywhere it's plastic. Okay, so we have, so wherever possible, we have to be wise and vigilant enough कि कहाँ कहाँ हम उसको at least reduce कर सकते हैं, if at all we cannot completely stop it. While on the other side, the manufacturers, or the government are creating policies so that manufacturers can be can notice this fact, can reduce packaging, or bringing plastics into packaging. And if at all they are using those plastics in the package, they have to ensure that it is brought back into the system through circular economy. Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Sakshi.
Ma'am, I want to say one thing.
Please go ahead. Yes, very sure.
Ma'am, actually, I recently know that I came to know that there is a person, Indian person, who used the plastic waste
Mhm.
and he used to make bricks, and
Yes,
then that brick is lightweighted and even much more stronger than the normal bricks. So, ma'am,
yes.
he take one initiative to reduce the plastic waste.
Yes, yes, yes. Indeed, I was also going to show you the video. So there's this one video is means in outside India, where they have prepared this huge blocks of plastics and they are using for preparing the blocks. Okay, and now second video I'll show you a very nice story from India. Okay, so I'll just share it with you. Wait, give me a second. Okay, so I have got these videos. I'll share the screen with you. I'm sorry, it took a bit time. Hmm.
This is a buy block, the first ever building block made entirely from unrecyclable plastic.
Okay, so this was one small video, and I'll share you one very good video. So this is a story, okay, in India itself. Can a plastic bottle be a ticket to an education? And in India, yes. Okay, so this is a story of Assam, where they have taken example of a girl called Deepika. She cannot pay her school fees because her parents are waged laborers. But now these students are able to do it because these children who are going to school, their fees is not in the form of money but in the form of plastics. So this is a groundbreaking scheme that is happening in Assam, and this is carried on by the Akshar Foundation. So what they have done is they ask the children to bring plastics. Okay, now this is a two-way function. First, on one hand, the people of the Akshar Foundation, so volunteers of the Akshar Foundation, now they don't have to go to places and look for the plastics, okay, or have to segregate those plastics, because now this work is automatically being done by the children. Second, ये घर घर से इकट्ठा कर रहा है, ठीक है. नाउ दे आर क्वाइट श्योर कि ठीक है यार, मुझे घर घर नहीं जाना पड़ रहा है क्योंकि बच्चे ऑलरेडी वो घर से लेके आ रहे हैं. Okay, so in that ways, this is how it looks. So the students are carrying their fees in the form of in the packets. Then they submit it to the Akshar Foundation. In return, they are of course getting education, and this plastics is then taken by this Akshar Foundation, where it is turned into bricks and is may or it is promoted in different recycling activities so that the pollution can be combated. Now, the Akshar Foundation has collaborated with United Nations Environment Program, so they are providing them with the funding support on this part, and whatever extra amount of money is needed for providing them the education, so UNEP is providing them with the helping hand. So they have been given a badge of Tide Turner's Plastic Challenge. Now, what is this badge? We will see in one of an example that has happened in Kenya. So this challenge, or this is a sort of a global movement which is happening across the globe, and UNEP comes and give those badges to the people, and then of course in that way they are assisting them in creating the platform, in providing them a monetary support, and they give them a recognition for working good in in creating awareness about the plastic use between students or between youngsters. Okay, so these are two way. So the video that I had shown is how the consumer, or how the industry have to play their role. Okay, whatever plastics, because of course we cannot turn that plastic into bricks. Okay, however, there is a small, very small experiment that was conducted, where in bottles you put those very single-use plastics, especially of polythene, and you keep on pressing it for a long period of time, and then you get a good structure shaped in a form of a bottle or something, and then you can use it for decorative purpose. But for a big purpose, is like bringing by building walls or building blocks, it is difficult. So that is a part of the industry. Okay, what we can do is, that is what is shown in this video of wire type turner. Okay, so I'll show this video.
Most of our programs actually focus on how do we better the environment. Scouts are exposed to innovations that they didn't know before. When you're talking about plastic recycling, plastics reuse.
The plastic Titanners has helped me become aware of the various ways through which plastic pollutes the environment. In curbing plastic pollution, it involves the 3 Rs, that is reusing, recycling, and reducing. It's hard to reduce the use of plastic, but it's very easy to recycle and to reuse. The plastic Titanners was able to help me impact on the environment of the school and the neighborhood at large, because we were able to undertake a public awareness campaign on plastic pollution and on the measures on how to prevent plastic pollution. Also, as the Junior Achievement Club, we took up several cleanups in the school and in the neighborhood, where we collected plastics and called a recycling company who were able to take the bottles. In reusing the plastics, you can make creative pieces of art from plastic materials like plastic straws, plastic papers, plastic bottles.
And these are things that now the Scouts are more aware, and they are keener to continue promoting a culture of making sure that the environment is clean, that they're able to recycle and reuse from a very basic level to a very executive level.
So I'm an optimist. Why? Because I see young people in the streets, young people engaging and fighting for a cleaner environment. And here at UNED, we're particularly pleased with tide turners, working with the youth movement to turn around pollution. This badge, which is now available, is made entirely from recycled materials. So earn this badge and engage communities, engage with schools, set up training programs, and learn how you can influence policy for better and safer environment. That's it. That's what we need to do. Turn the tide, all hands on deck.
Okay, so these two were the small videos where there are different ways where the plastics are being used. Now, as far as circular economy is concerned, so I'll take the separate class over circular economy, although uh, it's not in the curriculum in a form of this terminology. But when you are mentioning about recycling, reduce, reuse, and all these concepts, there this circular economy is an important factor. There, this is an important term where you have to include it. Even when it comes with anything that is related to this consumer buying system, circular economy is one of the most potential solutions. Okay, so I'll discuss and take the separate class on that, the circular economy and on life cycle assessment. Okay, anyways, so I'll share the slide where we will discuss more on plastics and their statistics. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the plastics across the globe, and where in 1950 this was around 9 million tons. In 2018 it has grown up to 359 million tons. I cannot imagine this is how many times it has increased. Okay. Now, if you talk about India, so India in 2019, it generated around 9.5 tons of plastic waste. Okay. And it's been predicted that by 2031, if this keeps on going, this 9.5 ton is going to grow threefold. This will be 4 million tons. And if it still goes with the same pace, by 2041, this will go up to 55 million tons. This is huge amount, huge volume. And out of this entire plastic waste, 70% of this is produced from packaging products. That is what I was saying, that although we quite ignore it, for example, there is a straw pipe. अब वो जिस पॉलीथीन की पतली कवरिंग में रैप होता है हम उसको फेंक देते हैं इमीडिएटली. हम प्लास्टिक जो स्ट्रॉ लेते हैं हम उसको भी फेंकते हैं, ठीक है. बट वी they are all made up of plastic. Even those Tetra packs, they of course are made up of your paper, but some of them are covered with a very thin film of plastic so that they are not prone to moisture या फिर उससे है ना degrade ना करे. Especially your soap wrappers are concerned. आप soap wrappings देखो कागज का लगता है लेकिन उसके ऊपर में कितनी thin film चढ़ा होता है पॉलीथीन का. So plastics have become part of our system. For example, comb we are using, the toothbrush we are using. Okay, the different items that are there in our homes that contains plastics. Interestingly, even for example, if somebody has a modem in their homes, or you are using your charger, now those material are also composed of plastics, with the difference that that plastic is of very very. ये भी तो plastic है, but that is also a plastic. Racket का जो outer ring है, that is made up of plastic. Okay, so plastics is almost everywhere. The thing is, their forms are different. They are of finer quality. So at those places where we can control how we have to reduce this dependency is a big question. Okay, so what can be the possible solutions for that? Before that, we will learn what are these different types of plastics. So there are 7 categories of plastics. Okay, so the most inferior quality या सबसे easily broken जो pieces में break down कर जाता है, that is your this polyethylene, which is your polythene, which we said to be as polythene bags and everything. These are those. Okay, and then comes your high density. High density implies that the polymers that are forming these plastics, they are very strongly bounded in layers. Okay, so as the layers will become more and more stronger, it will become more difficult to biodegrade, but they can be used again and again. Okay, because they are more stable in terms of their reusability, and hence their their life is high. So for example, your milk bottles, your bleach bottles, your washing machine liquid that is there in those bottles, okay, bottle caps, they are all composed of this high density polyethylene, means this HDP, this high density polythene. Okay, then comes your, especially your clear bottles, like for example your the bottles, like for example if you they sometimes we mistake them with the glass containers. Okay, so these are those fine quality plastics. Food trays, toys, piping, wire insulation, they are this third type of plastics. Okay, fourth is your low density polythene, which are in the form of plastic wrappings, cling film, or plastic bags. Okay, so your plastic bags come in this category. Okay, this low density polythene, or in polythene simple. Okay, now when I say plastic wrapping, this is of course packaging mein this very thin film which is covered over your Tetra pack and the other packing material. These are those plastic wrappings. Okay, then your fifth comprise of polypropylene, for example your especially your food items like butter and your soap containers, your bottle caps, they are all in this. Okay, and the another is polystyrene, like for example your especially you see your ice cream containers. ठीक है, जैसे आप ये जो बड़े boxes आते हैं ice cream के. Okay, they are made up of, and your thermocol is also a form of a plastic, is a form of a modified form of a plastic. Okay, and then of course there are others, for example your CD, your DVDs. Have you ever thought that these CDs and DVDs, they too are all made up of plastics? So this wiring, कितना ज़्यादा wiring use होता है, everything is made up of plastic, because plastic का जो strength है, that is very good, easily degradable नहीं होता है, किसी के साथ में रिएक्ट नहीं करता, लॉन्गेविटी उसकी बहुत अच्छी होती है। यही वजह है कि प्लास्टिक्स आपका ऑलमोस्ट हर जगह है, ठीक है। बट दिस इन टर्न हैज ऑल्सो बिकम अ प्रॉब्लम, क्योंकि उसकी यही ड्यूरेबिलिटी जो उसकी अच्छाई है, दिस ड्यूरेबिलिटी हैज बिकम अ सरदर्द for disposing it in form of a waste. So that is why when the plastic was first introduced, it was a boon for the society. पर अभी जब ये वेस्ट के फॉर्म में इकट्ठा होने लगा, क्योंकि वहां से लेके अब तक जब वो बना होगा पहला, तब से लेके अब तक वेस्ट इकट्ठा होने में टाइम हो गया ना। अब वेस्ट इतना ज्यादा हो गया कि इसको कहाँ ले जाए अब समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। नाउ दिस हैज स्टार्टेड कमिंग। अदरवाइज प्लास्टिक वैसे देखा जाए तो इट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है, ये कोई गैस रिलीज नहीं कर रही है, कोई प्रॉब्लम रिलीज नहीं कर रहा है, अनलेस एंड अंटिल इट हैज बीन सेंट फॉर द डिकम्पोजिशन. Now we have already discussed that most amount or most percentage of plastics is in oceans, okay, and howsoever we feel or howsoever we think, okay, this plastic has gone or it has decomposed, plastic doesn't decomposes. It, even if it's the most poor quality of plastic, for example, this category one, which breaks into smaller pieces, it can break into further smaller pieces, more smaller pieces. तो हमारे आंखों के सामने से जाने के बाद हमें लगता है कि oh, this plastic has gone, this has decomposed. No, decomposition implies that its complex molecules with which it is made up of gets broken off. But in this case, it's not those molecular structure which are breaking. Only उसका स्ट्रक्चर छोटा होता चला जा रहा है, मॉलिक्यूल्स के स्ट्रक्चर का छोटा नहीं होता चला जा रहा है, प्लास्टिक एज अ बॉडी बस छोटी होती चली जा रही है. एंड व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट these plastics, when keep on breaking and breaking and breaking and breaking, it leads to the formation of microplastics or problem. क्योंकि microplastics को तो आप निकाल भी नहीं सकते, you cannot filter it and you cannot recycle it. And the only way these microplastics are behaving is they go into the food chain and they start going for this bioaccumulation and bio magnification process. Okay, so that is why single-use plastics are main focus, because ये सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक्स इमीडिएटली ब्रेक करके माइक्रो प्लास्टिक्स में चेंज हो जाते हैं. एंड बिकॉज इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज माइक्रो प्लास्टिक्स, once they are formed into microplastic, it is almost not possible to bring them or recycle those smaller pieces of plastic. They have to eventually become part of your food chain system. ठीक है, that is why single use plastics are banned. Not that because उससे है ना प्लास्टिक का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, उससे हम प्लास्टिक का ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं कि जो माइक्रो प्लास्टिक्स बन रहे हैं दे आर एटलीस्ट स्टॉप. क्योंकि एक बार माइक्रो प्लास्टिक बन गया, यू कैन नॉट ब्रिंग देम बैक इनटू द सिस्टम, दे विल बिकम पार्ट ऑफ योर फूड चेन. ओके, क्लियर? सो व्हाट कुड बी डन फॉर द प्लास्टिक वेस्ट? ऑफ कोर्स reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, that is the 4 R's. But simply banning single use plastic is not the solution. Of course it's the major solution, क्योंकि सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक में आपके प्लास्टिक बैग्स और ये छोटा छोटा चीज आता है जो कि माइक्रो प्लास्टिक में चेंज हो सकता है. बट द चैलेंज इज स्टिल देयर, because we have seen that there are other 6 to 5 types of good amount of plastics which needs to be used. Okay, so here comes your the downcycling, the upcycling of the waste rather than downcycling. What does it upcycling means? Upcycling means that this plastic waste can be used for other purposes. For example, अभी मेरे सामने है ना वाईफाई का बॉक्स रखा हुआ है, that modem is scrap, of course it is made up of plastic. Okay, rather than throwing it away, the company or the consumer or the manufacturer can take back this plastic and they can again use it. That is known as your upcycling plastic. And the best way to upcycle is to introduce a circular economy in the marketing strategy, in the marketing system, so that it is ensured that whatever they are producing, whatever they are manufacturing, it can be again brought back into the cycle, and that could be again used for making other systems or other objects. Okay, so and then of course the other rest of the 3 points come on the stakeholders and the waste generators, waste collectors, that they have to create an efficient system. They have to ensure that when their plastic is going to the consumers should have that option, so that if they want to return it back or once its use is over, they can be brought back into the cycle and they can be recycled. Okay, and then there are the interventions by the logistic things. That's what I have said, that the circular economy approach has to be done. Now EPR and PRO, this is new terminology for you. EPR implies extended producer responsibility. PR is a producer responsibility organization. Now, this is a body that is created by Indian government also, although it's globally already working in several countries. In India, they have recently created and settled and created this new responsibility organization. Now, the work of this PRO is all the companies who are producing or who are the manufacturers. Their work is not just to manufacture those products. They have to take the responsibility that once that manufacturing product has been used by the consumer, they bring it back to themselves. Okay, and that is there in EPR, extended producer responsibility. Why it is said to be extended? रहा है जो कंज्यूमर के लिए टॉक्सिक ना हो, ज्यादा कॉस्टली ना हो, रिसाइक्लेबल एंड सो एक्सटेंडेड इसलिए कहा है कि इसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चरर का काम यहाँ तक सीमित नहीं है, और इट शुडंट बी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड ओनली अप टू manufacturing it and going in and supplying it to the markets. Their work is done. No, it has to be further extended in a way that they have to ensure once the consumer has finished using that for whatever purpose he has taken that plastic or has taken that article, that is returned back. They bring it back into their system. Okay, that is part of your circular economy, and they have to work it how they can do it. Either they ask the consumers in a way that next time they are going to return these bottles, they will get this much amount of discount. Okay, or they are being told by the shopkeepers or retailers that once this use is over, we are requested to return back to our shop so that we can return it back to the consumers, and so and the other policies. Okay, so this is how we can look into managing plastic waste. So in the slides itself, I have put some more websites and more pages where you can go and explore more about the plastics, where you can get more matter. Okay, so that if in any case such question comes, you are able to attempt it. Okay, this is about solid waste management in general. Okay. No. So this is what we have learned so far about plastics, specifically plastics and solid waste. But of course, when we talk about waste, it's not just the plastic. Of course, plastic forms the major part. So solid waste is either our home waste, that is municipal or domestic waste, or it is the other solid waste. Now, other solid waste comprises of your hospital waste, your industrial waste, your waste from the automobiles, from the construction activities, etc. Now, depending upon whether the waste can be degraded or not, it is biodegradable and it is non-biodegradable. Okay. Now, in biodegradable, how we can identify that it's biodegradable? Most of the organic waste, which is composed of your organic compounds, that is carbon and hydrogen, they all form biodegradable waste. Okay. Okay. Now, one important question, one important thing also I want to discuss is waste में दो challenge, एक तो plastic waste and there is one e-waste. Okay, and you all are people from computer backgrounds, and I hope that this computer e-waste has become a huge problem. ठीक है, बहुत बड़ा problem हो गया है. So maybe you can think of what can be the possible solutions, what can be the possible solutions by which this computer waste can be reduced. Okay? And because these computer comprises of silicon chips, and so they are very dangerous to be disposed of right away in some dumping ground. Okay? They need to be sent back to the consumers, to the manufacturers, so that they can take out their parts and they can rebuild the other processing systems. Okay? इसमें huge problem ये भी आया है कि पहले बक्सा नुमा computers हुआ करते थे. ठीक है, I remember in my school times, the small box type computer used to be there. ठीक है, मुझे आज भी याद है हमें पेपर में उस पे जाकर है ना मैंगो और बनाना टाइप करने के लिए बोला था. And for us, we it was something very was very beautiful because we used to get shocked. Oh wow, कितना अच्छा चीज हम टाइप कर रहे हैं उस पे लिख के आ रहा है, ठीक है. So I really feel amazed that and in this small span of time, 20-25 years, technology has shot like an arrow. मतलब एक होता है ना ग्रेजुअल इंक्रीज, ग्रेजुअल नहीं है, ये एकदम स्टीप इंक्रीज है. And now, so what is happening is वो जो बक्से नुमा computers हैं वो कहाँ जाएंगे? So they are all in the form of a garbage, and that is also one of the huge problem. So e-waste और आपका plastic waste, they are one of the huge sardard as far the normal waste is concerned. क्योंकि biodegradable waste के हाथ में तो ये कि ठीक है सड़ते गलते कभी ना कभी वो खत्म हो ही जाएगा, ठीक है. But these waste which are in huge quantity, they are a huge problem. Okay. Now, then, of course, there are several non-biodegradable waste also. For example, scrap materials, glass bottles, polythene bags, or medicine wrappers, sanitary napkins. ये भी बहुत बड़ा problem है. How to dispose them means what is the best way of like using them. Okay. Now, depending upon whether the waste is hazardous or non-hazardous, it can again be of two types. Now, hazardous waste mostly include your medical waste or waste coming out from laboratories or from the research lab, and from the nuclear industry and from your chemical industries. ठीक है, ज़्यादातर वो होते हैं. So they are measured in terms of 4 to 5 parameters where toxicity, infections, and reactivity are very important. Okay, and why is it important? Because while we are dumping this waste, if this is hazardous, then they are going then in time they will be a menace because they will pollute your water, they will pollute your soil, they will pollute your air. Okay, so depending upon what type of waste we have, we decide whether it has to be taken to the landfill site. In landfill site there are two types, there is unsecured and secured landfill sites. Whether it has to be burned, that is incineration, or it has to be used for preparing compost, or that is known as your composting. Okay, now out of the waste which is biodegradable, especially your vegetable waste, your food waste, they are suitable for preparing compost. Okay, or if it's in a large quantity, or if you are not preparing compost out of it, then they are taken and then they form the part of your landfill site. Okay, now in the waste which is non-biodegradable, for example your bottles, etc., although they are also going in landfill sites, but those bottles, like of glass bottles and of the durable material or the metal scrap, because they cannot be degraded, so they are not taken to the landfill site, but they are taken to this process of incineration. Okay, so we will discuss about it one by one, quickly one by one. So in landfill site, depending upon whether the waste is hazardous or non-hazardous, they are of two types: unsecured landfills and secured landfills. Now, what are unsecured landfills? These are those landfills which does not require lining, base lining. Okay, and the waste that is dumped there, so that on their decomposition, whatever leachates that are being obtained, if they are going into the soil, they won't pollute the soil, they won't turn the groundwater table toxic, and they will rather form the part of the mineral cycle in the soil itself. Okay, so there we don't need, or there is no need of any lining in those landfills. Those are known as your unsecured landfills. However, those wastes which are toxic or which can affect the chemistry of the soil and in return of the groundwater table or of the atmosphere, for them the secured lining is required. And what is the structure? So this is one of the diagrammatic representation. Now this is the lining. Okay. Now after the decomposition, the leachates will be formed. Now leachates are removed by the pipe that is put at the base of these leachate system. Now, capping is also done of the system because of the toxic gases that are being released. So that they don't become part of greenhouse gases or from for air pollutants, the capping of this entire waste has to be done. And the gases that are produced, they are taken out from the gas extraction well or from the pipes, which are then used for electricity production. Okay. third important thing is the system is in order to constantly monitor कि कहीं लीचेज आपका लीक होके सॉइल में तो नहीं आ गया या वो वाटर ग्राउंड वाटर टेबल का पार्ट तो नहीं बन गया. Constant monitoring through probes is there that keeps on checking the groundwater monitoring, if there is no leakage of gas in the soil and their toxicity, वो सारा वो चेक करते हैं constant. So this is in this secured landfill. So आपकी जो lining होती है किस किस चीज की बनी होती है? It is made up of synthetic liner followed by and a clay. This clay is a bentonite clay. ठीक है? So this is the lining. फिर इसके ऊपर में आप है ना गार्बेज डालते हैं और ऑफ कोर्स उसके नीचे तो आपका सब सॉइल है. तो ये लाइनिंग जो नेचुरल लाइनिंग है, इट प्रिवेंट्स द लीक ऑफ दीज hazardous waste from going down into the soil and therefore the soil is being checked. ठीक है, वो अफेक्ट ना हो वो उसको फिर देख सकते हैं. ठीक है. Composting we will discuss properly. ठीक है. We will now talk about quickly. We will discuss about what is incineration. See, जलाना सबसे आसान काम होता है क्योंकि इतना हाई टेम्परेचर ट्रीटमेंट होता है कि कोई भी मटेरियल हो चाहे वो मेटल हो चाहे कोई भी, they all get destroyed. Okay? But the problem with incineration is huge amount of heat supply is required, and second, it releases huge amount of gases. Now, what in normal is done with these gases, they are collected by the flue collector, and then these gases, because they have very high calorific value, so they are used for producing electricity or as a source of fuel. Okay. So, for example, there is one unit in Ghazipur landfill site which uses its waste and generates the gases through the incineration process, which are then used for generating some electricity. Okay, so that is there in Ghazipur. You can type on the Google and you can find the matter there. Okay, so this is incineration. So I have given the advantages and disadvantages of all these processes. So three major processes for the solid waste management are here. This is your landfill sites, which are of two types. Second is your composting, okay, and third is your incineration. Because composting is very important, so I'll discuss about the composting part, okay. And then, in short, I'll discuss about e-waste management in India. Okay, what is the part of e-waste management, what comes in e-waste, and what the stats is in India, and how we are going to manage it. Now, for e-waste, of course, we cannot renew it. We cannot we means I as a consumer, I cannot use those parts. So here, the manufacturer have a big responsibility. Our responsibility is that these electronic waste are going, means they go to the right person. Okay. Initially, जो है बैटरी खत्म होने के बाद में कबाड़ी वाले को बेच देते थे. अब कबाड़ी वाला उसको ठक जो है हैमर से तोड़कर उसमें से लेड वेट निकालने के लिए. लेड इज सो हार्मफुल, so dangerous. Okay, it's so toxic. So then this waste management act के अंतर्गत this was launched that as far the electronic waste is concerned, you are not supposed to sell it or you are not supposed to give it to a kabadi wala. Okay, we have to ensure that they should go to the proper manufacturing unit where they can use it. For example, one such work is done by Tata. Right, because while I was buying this electronic equipment, the sailors, the salesperson, they told me, "Ma'am, this is the number. Whatever electrical gadget you have, even if they are not being bought, even when they are there in your home and you have bought them quite years back, you should contact us. You can contact us that our people will come and they will collect those gadgets from there. So that is ensure, okay, that this waste will go into their system, into their units where they are going to recycle it in a proper way. Clear? किसी को कोई डाउट, कोई कंफ्यूजन, anyone? Anyone has any doubt, any confusion? Okay, but by this June end, I'll be a test. वो test आपका written नहीं होगा. That will be a multiple question which I will be circulating through Google form. And it will very simple question. ठीक है, simple questions रहेंगे. तो उस time तक जितनी units आपकी finish हो जाएंगी, we will have questions on them. ठीक है? Okay. So I will take an attendance.